Good morning, this is Jim McGinnity. I'm out here in a very different habitat this morning. I'm out in some scrub habitat. And one thing you'll learn about the scrub is that it has some very unique plants and animals that live there. I'm going to let my guest this morning introduce herself, and then she's going to show us some really cool things here in this scrub preserve.
Hi, I'm Kay Profit. I'm an environmental biologist, but I spend a lot of my time working with birds. So I'm out here working with the Florida scrub jay today, and these guys are a federally threatened species. We do not have a whole lot of them left in the state, but we have a pretty good sized population here in Manatee County. So we're at Moody Branch working with some of the birds here today, and hopefully we'll get some video of them for you.
All right, so you can see standing up on the tops of some of those oak trees I was just telling you about, you can see some of the scrub jays now. So they're watching us, looking to see what we're going to do. And if you look very closely, the ones with the brown fuzzy heads, those are the young from the year. So one of the unique features of Florida scrub jays is that they are what we call cooperative breeders. So since there's limited habitat, the young of last year, maybe even the year before, will stick around and help raise their brothers, their siblings, the next couple years until there's a habitat that they can move into, and they can set up their own territory. What's that? How much habitat do they need?
Well, in a habitat that's saturated, where there are a lot of birds in a smaller area, they'll use as little as 25 acres. Often here, these guys will have 40 acres. Occasionally, they'll have 60, 70, 80 acres. Because they can, because there's more habitat than there are birds.
So there could be more birds in the future. This could support more scrub jays.
Absolutely. That's the hope.
So what's the estimated population size currently?
You know, I don't know that anybody's actually done an estimation, because the last time that was done was about 15 years ago, and we had less habitat that was being managed at that point. So it's probably higher now than it used to be. Off the top of my head, I would say we could probably have upwards of 200 birds out here pretty easily. Not just at Moody Branch, but we're part of an interlocking group of properties that are close enough for them to live in and be one population together.
And what's the estimated population for the whole state?
Yeah, and that is a really big estimate, because there are a lot of birds that don't get counted each year. But the last count was somewhere between 4,000 and 5,000 birds are still out there.
Which is why it's considered a threatened species, not an endangered species.
Right, they're on the federal threatened list, which actually gives them the same protection as an endangered species. It just means that the numbers aren't so small that we now have to go to additional measures to try to increase the population. We just need to protect what we have.
So where's the best place for someone to go see a Florida scrub jay?
Well, there's lots of them actually all across the state, and so wherever you live, it's easiest to find scrub that's not too far from you. In our area, Oscar Shearer State Park is a great place to go find scrub jays. If you live up in the northern part of the state, go to Ocala National Forest. It is the largest population in a single scrub area. So you're almost guaranteed to find them there if you go out to the scrub. If you live on the East Coast, you can go to Merritt Island. That's the number 2, Cape Canaveral. That's the number 2 population in the state.
Right, let's take a look over here. It looks like some of them are coming closer. Not sure if you guys can see them there. Oh, off they went.
So we're going to go look for a nest that was used this year. In fact, that's where these babies came from.
See if you can spot the nest. There you go. You can see it.
Yep. So the male puts those big twigs up, building the basic cup, and then the female comes along and puts all that nice soft material inside of it before she starts laying eggs.
Cool. And how many young and eggs did they have?
This particular group, we know they have at least 3 young. They'll sometimes lay 5 eggs. Usually there's only 4, but they don't necessarily all make it out of the nest.
So how's the population here in Moody Branch Preserve?
Moody Branch is doing great. We actually have birds that end up flying to other preserves and settling there and increasing the populations there.
Good, so they're doing well.
They're doing very well. Coach whips are aggressive.
Oh, here he comes. He's coming.
Yep, he's coming. He's coming.
Yeah. Coach whip, a young coach whip. They get much bigger than this. They love sandy environments. Cool.
And they are. The reason I'm out here working with these scrub jays is our objective is to get them all banded, and we do more than just the silver band. We also add color bands so that we can identify individual birds. We want to be able to do that so that we can monitor the population. We want to watch and see how long they live. We want to see if they nest, how often they have to nest to have successful nesting, meaning young coming out of the nest, and how many young they then have. And of course, then we will band those birds so that we can continue to monitor how successful the pair was based on how well those young do.
And you use different colors?
We do use different colors. We have about 20 different colors that we can use. And so each bird will have a unique set of colors on their legs so that we can look at a distance and know exactly which bird it is. We actually have 2 adults that are standing over here, and they should both be banded. So if you can manage to get a shot of that, that'll be great. You'll be able to see those 2 different color combinations on those birds.
So we're going to take a minute to check out the scrub.
Look at the other plants and see if I can find
All right. So I did see some rosemary out here. So the plants here are very unique because the soil is so sandy. There's not hardly any nutrients. What we're standing on are old sand dunes from thousands of years ago. So these plants are very tough. They had to survive very, very few nutrients in the soil, and also they had to survive lack of moisture. But I wanted to show you the different kinds of oak trees. We're familiar with live oak trees, the big oaks. These are smaller oaks, very stunted, and look at the leaves here. The leaves on this one are very curled under, and they have lots of hairs on the back. I'm not sure if you can see that very well, but that's all to conserve water so they don't lose moisture, and these are very, very tough. This is called sand live oak, and actually if you look very closely, you can see the acorns starting to form. Just like other oaks, they have acorns right there. So in the fall, that's what feeds these the Florida scrub jays and many other animals too. So that's one of the types of oaks that we have here. We also have what's called Chapman's oak, and then there are a couple other species of what are called scrub oaks. But the wild thing is that you can see they're maybe 4 feet tall. They could be over 100 years old, these trees. So they live very, very long time, and they don't grow very big. One of the cool plants that you find in the scrub in bloom in the late spring, early summer is called tar flower. We're going to go take a closer look at some so you can see how beautiful it is. So one thing that's fun about getting out and exploring some of our natural Florida lands is you never know what you're going to come across. So here we've come across one of the most important animals found in the upland habitats, and that's the gopher tortoise. So let's get a closer look, and it's actually a young one. All right, see if you can find the tortoise in this picture. It's pretty small. So young gopher tortoises are yellow. Gives us our scale, gives you an idea of how small it is. And their shell isn't hardened quite yet. And they have this more of a leathery shell. Not sure how old this one is. Any idea? Probably
hatched not very long ago.
a year or so. I've seen them half that size before.
Yeah, they're tiny.
So they're pretty small, but they're really important because they aerate the soil, and they provide homes for all sorts of other animals in the uplands plant communities or ecosystem. Let's see if he's going to come out and take a walk. Take a walk on the wild side. Yeah, maybe. Now their front legs are adapted for digging, so they have very long nails and really thick scales. And their back legs, I think, look like elephant feet, kind of reminiscent of that. Come on, little guy, go for a walk. Get a different angle. Look at him, it's hard out in the bright sun. Just see, let's see, can you see him there? He's looking at us. All right, pretty cool animal. One of the cool plants that you find in the scrub in bloom in the late spring, early summer is called tar flower. We're going to go take a closer look at some so you can see how beautiful it is. All right, here's some tar flower. Beautiful shrub. Let's take a closer look at these really pretty petals. The thing is, you take a minute to listen to hear some of the birds that are singing out here. You have birds called the towhee and meadowlarks calling in the distance. Also, this area should burn every few years or be burned to maintain the diversity of plants found in the scrub habitat.